A very warm welcome, everybody. Good morning from wherever you're watching. Day 7 here at the European Championships. I'm not sure what happened there. Jakob Konar reached to shake his hand of his opponent, but his opponent refused to shake hands, so maybe there's a bit of needle in there. Anyway, we will be looking forward to see this match. We have two very astute players at the table. Of course, Jakub Konar, who's won the lag from Slovakia. Off the bat of that, well, has to be said, very painful defeat yesterday in the final of the 10-ball division. He'll be definitely up for the races and trying to rewrite that wrong, even though it's a bit weird to say that because, well, he won the silver medal, which is not a mean feat by any means. And on the other hand, his opponent, Wojciech Szewczyk from Poland, who's returned from Las Vegas, so be interesting to see if he can also shake off the cobwebs from the jet lag. Wojciech, of course, as recent as last year, April, reached the final of the 8-ball European Championships. I'll try to figure out what happened there with the handshake. That was rather interesting. First break from Jakub. Failed to pot a ball. And as we know, in 8-ball, when you fail to pot a ball on the break, particularly when the 8-ball rack is tapped, you always tend to get a nice even spread, as you can see. And at this level, if you give your opponent the first chance, more often than not, they will clear up the table. Wojciech has left himself here a couple of options. I think it's the sensible way to take off the 12 first here. He will, off two rails, land in an area where he'll have potentially, although that cue ball needs to slow down. Yeah, absolutely perfect on the 11. And like I said, right at the beginning of the rack, when you break in 8-ball at this level and you fail to pot a ball 99 times out of 100, it means your opponent will run the rack. And that seems very likely in this scenario as well. Would have preferred that cue ball to travel a bit more, but this is a straightforward pot here from the man from Poland. would check with his first break of the match. Didn't really hit the first ball right on the head. You could consider himself a bit lucky. That one ball just dropped at the end. You could see his cue ball went straight towards the side. And, well, he wouldn't mind. He's still at the table. And he can still pick and choose which way he wants to address this situation. Either of the two options seem pretty reasonable. Wojciech looking to get rid of that cluster of two balls right here. This nice angle on the 11. Control the cue ball. Take out the 12. And bounce back his cue ball on and off the rail out in the open. I think he should be able to avoid running into the 2. That seems to be the only danger in this shot. Perhaps the 4 in its way, but even if he would hit the 4 on the way back, you would think he'd be very unlucky not to have some sort of a shot on the 13 or the 10. Yeah, just making sure that he does his due diligence and execute the positional side of the shot as well as the pot, of course. Yeah, so he did hit the 4, but like he said, that would never cause a problem. Yeah, you would think either roll it a bit forward to leave himself sort of a straightish 10, or just a touch backwards so you can use the side rail of the 10. Yeah, touch back. Well, that is quite remarkable. Has to be said, in hindsight always it's easy to say, but he left himself a very awkward angle really on the 10. That was the one type of off straight he could have used without of. Now he's trying to kick this 8 ball off the bottom rail. He could even go from the side rail, but this is not a guarantee whatsoever. Called it into the side, failed to pot it, and has he locked up the 6? He has, you know, so in all honesty, that's very fortunate indeed. Jakub will have to develop the 6 if he wants to run out in one visit. He might even elect to play safe. Wojciech tried a bank shot there. Yeah, it's always going to be difficult. It has to be said, this situation is self-inflicted. He should not have left himself an awkward angle on the 10 and try and run out the rack. Lost position, hooked himself on the 8, and well, this has been the result ever since. You think Jakub will clear here and draw level. Drop the 7 ball into the side and hold for the 5 into the bottom right corner pocket, just like that. Pretty much a textbook clearance here. If you've just joined us, welcome. As you can see, this is a winner's qualification in the 8-ball men's European Championships, race to 8. Jakub Konar, he won the lag, failed to put a ball off his break. His opponent, Wojciech, ran out 1-0. Then Wojciech broke, potted the ball and looked for all the world to clear the table. Failed to play position on the 8, hooked himself. And Jakub stepped in, made it 1-all. And now at his second time trying, Jakub still failed to pot a ball. He'll have to increase on that. Well, luckily for him, he's not left a straightforward run out here. Obviously, the solids, apart from the 1, look pretty good. I think Wojciech immediately tried to leave himself an angle here on the 6 and trying to develop the 1 on and off the side rail. Needs to play this with a lot of pace. Lovely played, and I think he's left himself a nice comfortable pot here on the 1. Can't really tell whether he's absolutely straight or a little bit off straight. No, he's not 100% happy with the angle on the 1, so he's looked at the 5, now he's back looking at the 1. I'm just wondering if he puts the 1, if the cue will go towards the left side or the right side. Yeah, so he could potentially play position for the 7 here. Nice pattern play here by Wojciech, utilizing the position of the balls and determining the route towards the finish of this rack. A little bit unhappy, of course. He's landed, well, pretty much dead straight here on the 5, so he can't really leave himself a comfortable angle. Might have to draw it back. Yeah, play that around 2 reels. Jacked up, there's always a little bit risk involved in the precision of the striking, but he executed that to perfection. And has to be said, this is a very clinical clearance. The layout was not a straightforward roadmap, but nevertheless made light work of it. Now goes back in front, 2-1. Wojciech failed to put a ball. Well, he did, but the wrong ball. Ball in hand. And of course, an 8 ball, if it's a scratch off the break immediately, ball in hand, but you have to stay inside the kitchen. But I'm sure we can all agree this is a good opportunity for Jakub. He left this one a little bit short, I feel. I think he'll make this, but it's not a guarantee. Yeah, he's lost his cue ball. I'm just wondering if he can get to the putting angle on the 11. It doesn't seem like it. So what's he left himself here now? Yeah, you cannot see the putting angle on the 11. Oh, how do you like this one? He's trying to putt the 12 into the top right corner pocket. This is a very tricky shot. Very tricky for most. What a great shot that was. That was not easy at all. think he can just avoid running into the 1 there. Yeah, he can. Don't think the nudge on the 4 was planned either, but this seems to be a comfortable enough long pot here for the man from Slovakia. Yeah, nicely done. Draws back level once again. So somewhat surprising, both players have not been very proficient with the break. It's a huge weapon in all the disciplines, but in 8-ball, when you have a tap table, if you manage to consistently pot a ball off the break, it's a massive advantage. At the third try, this is a very good break by Jakub. And a very good chance to pop his nose in front for the first time. Going for the solids here. He's looking to play a delicate screw back here off the 6. Needs to avoid running into the 14, and he's managed to do so. And I think he's left himself a nice angle here on the 7, just to go on and off the bottom rail. Now, of course, the angle he leaves himself on the 2 after this 7 is going to be crucial. Is he trying to go in between the gap of the 10 and the 2? Well, I must admit, I didn't really see the value in that shot, but seemed to have worked out nicely. It's not 100% perfect, but he can put the 2 in the middle and come off a couple of rails to play position for the 8 into the top left corner pocket. Yeah, that 12 ball is now hampering the cue ball. He is favored to make this, but could have done without the 12 in his way. Not 100% clean, but still in. Nice break and run there by Jakub Konar. would check on his return with a successful break. Now, as you can see, the most obvious dilemma here at the table is the 3 and the 14 tied up. I think he's looking right here from this position if he can attack the 14 and if he can get to the putting angle, but there's not a lot left after it. I think if he can just putt the 14 and get the cue ball off the rail, that 9 ball would be an option. And perhaps he has not got the putting angle. Yeah, so he's actually going for the solids here. So one thing is for certain, he'll have to develop the 3 ball here at some point. He might try to develop it off this shot. Yes, he's tried that. And what a gorgeous shot he's played there. That should be the winner for the rack. That was a calculated risk, and he had to make sure he made contact with one of the 2 balls that were occupied. And could not have played that better. And another bonus is he's not tied up the 8 into the bottom right corner pocket. So yeah, that was a gorgeous piece of positional play. Deliberately left himself high on the 2 so he could use the 2 rails for the cue ball come into the line of the 8. Clear thinking here by the man from Poland. Yeah, at the beginning both players were a little bit searching for the break. It seems like all compartments are now aligned and both players produce a break and run on their turn. So if this is an omen for what's coming up next, we're in for a thriller. Couple of balls threatened to drop, particularly the 4 ball into the side. Unfortunately, it is a dry break. I suppose the only good news is the opening shot. Well, I say that, I think that 9 ball does go past the 4, and that doesn't seem like a tough shot. The only thing I would say is I don't think he can avoid running into the 8, so he'll be reluctant to play this too hard. That's not worked out bad. The 11 and the 14 are somewhat of a nuisance. If he can clear them 2 balls, it just makes the positional play a lot easier. Might have to take the 13 and then the 12. Yeah, he tried to play pretty much straight on the 15. Now, he could play a very gentle kiss on the 7, because he does not want to send that 7 anywhere near the 8. It's a touch and feel positional shot, this one. And for a bit later on in the rack. He's got a straight putt on the 10. Yeah, and if he can just follow the cue ball, a ball, maybe a half a ball would be enough. Yeah, just like that. And now these 2 positional shots. Although, of course, the 12 to 8 has to be precise. Now, from this angle, I'm just wondering whether he fancies going into the gap of the 7 and the 8. Doesn't have to take the risk, of course. Yeah, he did. And he's played that to perfection. A gorgeous positional shot once again by Wojciech. And that was the key towards the run out here. Wojciech with his 4th inning. Another successful break. Yeah, I think he's considering to take the solids here. Now, he's got a couple of options. He can try and putt the 1 off the 11 and play position on that 5 ball. That is, as you can see, occupied. Or he can pot the 3 and then play position on the 5. And he would have that guarantee of the 1 ball into the side as well. Yeah, so he's going for the solids. He's called the 1. Let's have a look. I think he was trying to leave himself an angle on the 3 to go away from the rail. That 5 ball does pot, but it's very tight. So he'll have to play a very precise positional shot. Ask the referee to join and watch the proceedings here. This is a very narrow putting angle. I think he can get through to it though. Might have to play this with a trace of side just to turn the 5 ball. Don't know whether he wants to go on and off the rail. That would mean he play this with a bit more pace. Oh, he's not completely out of the woods just yet. So he needs to put this 4, come on and off both side rails. And it'll be very important to see if he can leave himself the correct angle on the 7 to send this cue ball up to the right top corner pocket. Ooh. That was not even close. Not so sure what happened there. Could that potentially be a skid? That was a long way off. Yeah, he's done all the hard work. A lot less traffic left at the table for Jakub. And this is a comfortable enough angle on the 12. Go across the table from side to side. Again, left himself options here. As you might have noticed in the background, we've got Yasmin Ushan. She's also in action today on table number 1. That's also free and live on our YouTube channel, Pro Billiard TV, provided with commentary. And of course, we have another stream table, table number 3. That is through without commentary, but that's on throughout the entire day. So there's a lot of pool action to follow. Slightly fortunate that his cue ball has stayed on the table. One of the reasons it doesn't seem to have a perfect spread because he didn't hit the first ball full in the head. You could see his cue ball immediately track towards the side of the table. But that being said, this is still a chance. It doesn't seem like that 7 passes the 11 into the right middle pocket. And he can, of course, take the 5 if he wants to, but he's got a negative angle, so that cue ball needs to do some traveling of 2-3 rails. Now he can pot the 4, go a bit forward, or even draw it back. He's opting for the 5 ball into the side. And let's see what type of an angle he's left himself here on the 4. Yeah, that seems to be comfortable. It'll be interesting to see if he would consider to bump his cue ball into the 13 and the 8. And it's a risk he doesn't need to take, of course. But some players might prefer that shot. Played a very delicate positional shot there. It's nicely played because he's got 2 pots here now. He's got the 3 actually, the 7 and the 1. If he can play another very delicate positional shot. Yeah, I'm not so sure whether now he can get to the potting angle on the 1. Yeah, he's having a long hard look. If he can't, well, I have to take the 6, but the play position on the 1 of the 6 being so thin, oh, it's very, very difficult. And he's been fortunate. He's just nudged the 1 and he's left himself an angle. I'm not saying this is a straightforward pot by any means, but he does have an angle to send this cue ball off the side rail. Yeah, he played it at the right pace. Luckily, that 8 ball does go past the 11. So a little bit fortunate with that kiss on the 1, but you know, at the same time, that was a nicely executed positional shot. Both players still have a timeout available to them if they wish to utilize that. They'll get 5 minutes. So far, the complexion of this match, it's been nip and tuck all the way. Neither of the players have ever been in front more than 1 rack. Yeah, this is a more textbook break. Hit that first ball straight on, and you can see he can control the cue ball a lot better for the 2-3 balls. So this is a very good spread, and also a very good chance immediately. That 5 ball is partially in the way to make the positional play here and be very precise with his cue ball. Nevertheless, it's a very good chance. I think when he takes the 9 first, he's got a bigger area to play position on the 10 as opposed to play the 10 first. Yeah, played to perfection. So this is looking like 5-all. All in all, I think it's a fair reflection of how this match has been going ever since the beginning. Wojciech once again proving why he is one of the top Polish professionals. Yeah, there is a clear distinction in the break layout between Jakub and Wojciech. One of the reasons is that Jakub somehow doesn't hit the one or at least the top ball of the stack full in the face. Therefore, the spread he gets on his break is a bit more inconsistent compared to his opponent, but he managed to do the most important part He's potted the ball off the break, so he has a chance here. But needless to say, is a lot less straightforward than his opponent had in the previous rack. I'm just wondering if he can pot the 6 and send his cue ball forward and just miss the 4 on the way. Yeah, and he's left himself an angle, a nice angle here on the 4. So he can now develop the 5 and the 8 with this shot alone by putting the 4. I'll have to play this with a bit of pace just to make sure that cue ball does not stick on the 13, for example. He has developed the 5, but I don't think he's done himself any favors on the 8 ball, which obviously is the most important of them all. Although it does go into the top right corner pocket. So I suppose he needs to figure out a way to leave himself a nice angle on the last ball to play position on that 8 ball into the top right corner pocket. This next positional shot from the 7 to the 5 is a crucial one. The only thing he cannot afford is to leave himself straight on the 5. Now here he needs to decide whether he wants to play in between the gap of the 11 and the 12 or try and go around the 11. Whichever way, he'll have to play this at the right speed, and I have to say he's nailed it. Another fabulous positional shot played by Jakub. I said it at the beginning, it was not straightforward, but if we just wait for him to pot this 8, that it is a very, very good break and run. I think his opponent has taken a timeout, so that gives us the opportunity to take a 5-minute break. Don't go anywhere as the action will continue. Wojciech back from that timeout. His turn to break. Of the two players, he's broken the better of the two. But as you can see, he's 6-5 behind, so it doesn't mean a lot right here, right now, of course. Still needs to produce a good break. Wojciech putting 13 will go for the stripes, of course, which seems to be the most sensible option. I think that 15 is puttable into the bottom left corner pocket, so by putting the 13, he can work his way upwards and he can leave himself with numerous balls available to him. A nice angle on the 15. Could even do that right here off the 11. Yeah, so the pattern continues. Wojciech just seems to get a better spread on his break due to the fact that he's hitting the first ball of the stack fuller in the face. He could even take the 10 if he wants to. It's likely to be the 9, 10, and then the 8 players. And what has started as a race to 8 is now a race to 2. Now, Jakub did win the lag, so if it will go to 7-0, which is likely on the cards, you'll have the final break. Did mention of the two, Jakub is slightly breaking a little less technical. And he needs that break to hold up now. This is a very crucial part of the match. couple of clusters here. First and foremost, did manage to pot a ball off his break, so that is good news. I think he could get to the potting angle on the 7 right here with the cue ball, so out of the two options, you would think the solid seem a bit more inviting, and I think he's yeah, is he going for it? No, he's going for the 11. Not sure whether that 14 and the 13 is looking like a combination into the, well, you would think not, because he's looking at a spot for his cue ball to place. It's a two-way shot. If he overruns it, he'll always have the 10. Yeah, just like that. Just past the 4. Yeah, it does. He's just landed a bit straighter than was needed. A bit more angle, and he could have rolled his cue towards the left side for the 14 into the right middle pocket, but I think he's a bit straight for that. I mean, he can power it if he wants to, but as we have seen over these past 7 days, these middle pockets are not looking all too generous, so he'll have to play a very good shot here in the positional part of it, of course. Yeah, nicely done. So this 14 to the side, probably the 9 after it. I did say at the beginning of the rack, needs that break to hold up. It seems to have done, so Jakub is off the back of what has been a brutal defeat in the final yesterday, but nevertheless, he went all the way. So it's not like he's fishing for form. So it goes 7-6 in front, hoping to get a chance on his opponent's break. If not, he'll get a final break of the match. That was a very clinical break and run. Has to be said, ever since 2-all, the level of breaking and running in this match has gone up significantly. Now, there was an incident at the beginning of the match. I tried to do some research, didn't really know the full closure what was going on, but when the match started, at the lag, Jakub came over to shake his opponent's hand. Wojciech refused to shake his hand. So there is a little bit of needle in this match. So it'll be interesting to see if at the end there will be any sort of friendship. Anyway, that's in the past now. Wojciech, first things first, needs to produce a good break here. Well. How is that 2-ball not dropped? This is what Jakub was waiting for. Chance on his opponent's break. I'm sure he's called the 2-ball, but yeah, that's gone all wrong. I suppose his only saving grace is the 11 and a 15 do not directly pot into the bottom left corner pocket. But that was a missed opportunity. Now, with the same token, there's a lot of pressure here on Wojciech. It's not a roadmap as we would consider it. Wojciech immediately attacking this combination. 11 onto the 15. Will be interesting to see what type of pace he will play this shot. Both players had a look in this rack. Jakub gets a rare second chance in the rack. It's not happened before in this match. And what a time to get 2 visits at the table. That 3-ball seems very tight. I might just go past 12. But the angle he's left himself on the 6 is a bit thinner. And there is an argument to say maybe it can come across the table from side to side. Potentially for the 3 in the middle pocket. That's okay. Needs one more good positional shot. Yeah, nicely done. Well, every credit to him. He's done his part in this match, and well, like I said, for the first time in the match, he got 2 visits. Make the most out of it. Yeah, still no handshake. It's unbeknown to me why, but nevertheless, Jakub wins the match and will prevail. Of course, Wojciech will return in action. This was a winner's round match, so he'll have to go through the losers round. There's a lot more pool action coming your way, guys, so make sure you hit that notification button and you'll be notified as soon as we go live. We do have other tables, table number 1 and table 3, that's streamed all throughout the day without commentary. So keep an eye out on the streams. Bye for now, and thanks for tuning in.